Hello everyone, my name is Scott Story, and I am going to show the basics of traditional drawing methods. This has come to be known as the academic style of drawing. I'm not an academically trained artist. In fact, I'm largely self-taught, but over the years I've learned the techniques that go into it. If you are interested in academic drawing, there are some wonderful resources on YouTube that you can study to pick it up, but it can be a bit daunting. That's why this is an introduction to those techniques. Now, for my model, I'm going to use the cover of Gale's Artist Models #1, which was published in 1941. It's kind of a rare book now, and I picked it up in an antique mall. Okay, a little further explanation in that academic drawing is for learning to observe carefully and accurately. It is not for drawing from the imagination. It is for learning to draw what you observe. So let's get into this. Here I'm using my compass, which is a super handy tool for this style of art, and I've measured the outside lines of my figure, edge to edge, sideways or horizontally. Now I'm doing vertically. I'm not using a ruler to draw out these lines. It's not that precise. Here I'm getting the actual size of her head. Since her head is tipped forward, the drawing based on head height is not that easy. So if you just draw the height of her actual head from chin to crown, that's a little easier to measure. I'm drawing some plumb lines across the whole figure as guides, and I'm getting the actual size of her head just for my reference. Now here I'm copying angles over. I'm using the edge of my notional space, and what this is, the overall space that I've drawn is called the notional space, which covers the height and width of the item. That's the outside box you see. I'm using the sight size method, which is where I draw what I see at the size I see it. So all the ratios go from the subject matter to the drawing on a 1-to-1 ratio. You can definitely draw, much larger or smaller than you see. There are tools you can use besides just your observation to modify those ratios so that you can draw at different sizes. But that's not what sight size is. They would draw at the size they perceived it. So to draw larger, they would move closer to the model. To draw smaller, they would move farther away. I won't actually erase all these vertical and horizontal plumb lines until I've got the envelope of her figure figured out. The envelope is just another way of saying her silhouette. What the notional box does is it helps you define the negative spaces that are going to be around the character, because getting the outline correct is as much finding the negative spaces that define the character's outer edges as using the interior spaces. And here is an excellent case where I'm working out what the negative space between her left arm and her body is. Dropping a plumb line down from her shoulder to help me locate where that breast is, because I know I've drawn it off, and this is to help me discover where the landmarks on her body actually rest. And I've decided that I drew the right one too high. Size relationship. The thing with observation or learning observation is recording what is actually there versus what you think is there. For example, if I had drawn this girl from imagination, likely her waist would be thinner, and I want to avoid that by learning how to accurately produce what I'm seeing. Constantly double checking. I'm looking at the angle at the bottom of the breath. I'm focused on the large rhythms of the character. You can see a good example of the candle grip method where I'm holding the pencil underhand and controlling it with my little finger while it's hinged between my thumb and my index finger. It's light, but it gives great control. A great deal of flexibility because you're not drawing from the wrist, you're drawing from the shoulder, allowing for sweeping moves that aren't necessarily all that good from drawing from the wrist. Eyebrow line, face center line. I'm defining the front plane of the face. Nose line. Notice that as I'm drawing from my shoulder, the pencil lightly just glides above what I'm drawing. As I get more detailed, I clutch the pencil closer to the tip, and as I'm doing layout, I hold it further back. Ideally, the weight of the pencil alone should be enough to make a mark. I'm treating her hair as if it were a solid mass for this section, as if she were a statue. Despite how curvy and voluptuous the model is, I draw with lots of short, straight lines. I'm defining where her shoulder muscle, which you can see by the outline, lies underneath her skin. It's kind of a saucy pose with her head to the side and one shoulder forward. Find the pit of her neck there. Defining her rib cage. Under traditional circumstances, the artist would have begun with plaster casts, usually of classical statuary. Of course, I have no plaster models cast here, so a photo is good, but I suppose under ideal circumstances, I'd be working in 3D from a 3D model. I'm overall pleased with what I've got as the envelope, so now I'm knocking back the pencils so I can get a little more detailed. While I'm trying to be accurate, I'm not deeply concerned about getting an accurate portrait. Figurative art usually is different than portraiture in that figurative art, the body tells the story, while in portraiture, the face examines the person's character and dimensions. As a side note, I'll mention that this is a 2B pencil that I'm using, and this is the first time using my new phone to record. Now notice with her legs crossed, the calf on her left leg has been forced out by resting against the knee of her right leg, adding to that sense that she's a soft biologic being. And of course, I'm refining the all-important outline. I dare say that for drawing, the outline is far superior to internal detail. Internal detail, especially on the face, will simply age the character. Now that I've started shading, this is where the trimmed back pencil with the long exposed lead really comes into its own. Notice I'm very gingerly putting in shadows, and I'll build up the intensity through additional layers. One of the reasons I picked this picture was for its dramatic shadow. From the best I can tell, the model is front lit from our right a little bit, and then has a rim light on our far left. The goal at this stage with the shading is to round out the forms and bring a sense of 3D to the object, giving it mass to hint at realism. Yeah, here's the shadow created by the strong rim light as opposed to the soft focus light that is trained on her from the artist's perspective. If this picture was intended as a finished drawing, I would probably come back in with some softer leads, such as a 4B or a 6B for the deep shadows, but this is just an exercise. Thus, all I've used is the 2B pencil. And notice I am holding the pencil much further back along the ferrule and letting the weight of the pencil itself do the shading for me. As I said before, the goal with this kind of drawing is to train your sense of observation. At this point, I began to be dissatisfied with that elbow and her forearm. If you enjoy this kind of content or find it useful, please let me know in the comments below. The paper stumper is helpful because you can use the graphite that has gotten onto it, do a little painting. It's also good for getting rid of scribble marks and turning the shadows into a nice uniform silver. I hope you found this information useful. Thanks again.